that you need to know what their interest is, what you know their wishes, what are their desires to join you or to assist your organization. By researching various blogs related to your organization, by observing the audience who, for example, engage with online content related to your organization. Maybe you are talking about mental health. How many of these people are actually on another blog on mental health? Studying how the audience is funding existing advertisement or online content from competing non-for-profit organizations. Once you're able to identify your intended audience, then you can accurately put your story and mission in the public domain. That provides a greater chance that interested individuals will donate or volunteer for your organization. You need to do what we call audience segmentation. You need to determine how you want to interact with them. That is, how do you can do that by developing what is called persona to help you better understand who you are communicating with. You need to interview intended audience. 2 or 3 from each of the main audience will be okay. This is what we call the job to be done. Using question, for example, when did you first realize you wanted to donate to our cause? Where were you? Were you with somebody? You're trying to ask, were you with somebody because you want to know whether somebody is influencing that person to donate to your organization. What were you doing when this thing happened? So all those things you want to know before you go on. Then do you consider supporting or donating to another NGO? Remember, you're asking your intended audience. Do you have any consideration supporting another NGO? You're not being selfish here, but you just want to know what factors were considered when it came to deciding who to support with your donation. I remember when I was in Ibuka, a particular member wanted to celebrate their 68th anniversary in Nigeria, and the legal company secretary called me and said, "Shino, what do you want us to do for you?" My colleague said, let them buy us a car. A car. When you buy the car, the value of the car will fall, a crash, maybe 2 days after they've given you. So we now went on the internet, and then we discovered that in some places in the international world, I mean, all over the world, that particular organization, I mean, an allied company, they set up what is called a HIV/AIDS program, where you go to a filling station, you buy petrol. As you're buying the petrol, they're giving you leaflets on HIV and AIDS, and so on and so forth. So with that, you are carving a niche for yourself. So the primary intention is to learn about your audience consideration process. Why do they want to join you? You need to do that to build a timeline and determine what influenced or what motivated their decision to support your cause. And I must say that even up to today, after I left Ibuka, that company is still supporting Ibuka based on that particular project that was started many years ago. Now we talk about branding. Remember, we talk about background, we talk about audience segmentation. Then what about the messaging? Messaging, this is the art of getting your message across effectively, and it's a very crucial aspect of being successful in developing your organization's communication and media strategy. Effective communication hinges on your understanding of your meaning and replying in terms of their move towards the direction you want them to go. The perception in some quarters is that some non-for-profits are notorious for using acronyms and jargons that can be inaccessible to most people outside the organization. You see them using technical terms. You are just communicating to yourself. Remember, we talked about communication as connectivity. Everybody communicate, but few people connect. So you want to think of the connectivity. Make sure that not only does your message address your goals, but that it is written in a clear and acceptable language for your intended audiences. With the fast-paced world of social media today, you must grab attention and define your message quickly and concisely. You can do this without jargon. Use the terms anyone can understand and comprehend. For instance, you can say, our organization is the only one in Nigeria that can do blah, 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 blah. What is your USP? What is your unique selling point? You want to flaunt this. Nobody is going to flaunt it for you. So you need to flaunt your USP. In other words, what makes your organization stand out from all other non-for-profit in your sector? Maybe you are into HIV and AIDS, COVID, mental health, and so on and so forth. Please note, information and communication are often used interchangeably, but they signify quite different things. While information is given out, communication is getting through. So we cannot use them interchangeably. So here we're talking about communication strategy. Now we will want to look at channels. A channel is a medium through which a message is transmitted to the intended audience. The best channel for reaching a specific audience depends on several factors because each has a particular set of characteristics supporting different forms of content and messages for different audiences. You have direct channels owned by your organization. That is the one you have control over. These are under the direct control of the non-for-profit and can be used by the end user. For example, your website. Direct channels affect options for reaching intended subgroups of audience. Then you have the offline, non-digital format, paper-based. Some people call it, say it's analog. What? Say paper-based. Direct content. People, events, press conference, the webinars we are doing, presentations like this webinar, printed media, brochures, reports created by your non-for-profit, and advertising campaign. You cannot underestimate the value of offline communication channels. You cannot. They are still very important. Online channels include internet connections and will require the use of computers, smartphones, and tablets. The online channels include websites, online courses, internet search engines like Google, Bing, that indexes website and online content. Social media is another way to spread messages about your organization online, connecting with people. Remember, we talk about connectivity in communication, connecting with people who have a large online following, e.g. creative influencers, opinion makers, and bloggers. Let me give you an example. One man of God traveled outside the country, and they did not want him to preach. And before he was allowed to preach, somebody else said, come on, let's look at this social media handle. And when they went to his social media handle, they discovered that he had over 2 million followers. They said, wow. So if this guy can have over 2 million followers, why can't you allow him to preach? That's how they gave that man of God the opportunity to preach in that particular country, just because of the people that are following him on social media. In some cases, when you go for interviews, they even want to go and spy on your social media. They want to see who are you outside of the office environment? Who are you in an informal setting? That sometimes costs some people the jobs that ordinarily they would have gotten. Then social media channels specialize in offering direct contact between users and establish user communities. Then you have different types of social media here: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Don't ask me whether I've used all of this, but I know I'm still better than some. We have some colleagues who don't even know how to use. They don't even have WhatsApp, talk less of Instagram or Facebook. Now, you need to have a plan of action. Having identified your goals, having identified your message, having identified your audiences, go ahead to outline the next step in the process. You surely know where you want to go, and this plan of action is the route to get you there. Ask yourself, what will it take to make your communication and media strategy work? What will it take to assign roles and responsibilities for implementing the strategy? Who will do what? When will it be done? How? And then write it up. You may have several levels of involvement for each activity or message. Use a calendar to plot activities, deadlines, ensuring that it is clear who is responsible for each single activity. Summarize what you hope to achieve, list specific tasks that need to be carried out in 1 month. At the end of each month, assess what you've been able to achieve. Use the information to improve your plan for the upcoming month. That's why we said, when we started, we said communication. It can never end. Communication, if you can see this, communication is a process. Communication is a process. It can never end. So if you cannot say, oh, I'm done with communication. You can never end it. Now, it's time for evaluation. You require an evaluation tool before you implement your strategy to enable everyone know what is expected from the strategy and how it is to be evaluated. It's supposed to be anything more complicated than a series of questions. It isn't supposed to be anything more complicated than a series of questions around the goals that you have set for yourself. Nevertheless, everything is not easily quantifiable. This should be addressed in your evaluation tool. Determine where anecdotal evidence suffices. Consider the instances where you will need verified data for your assessment. Finally, the results for your evaluation should be used to update and shape your future plans. Who should be involved in charting the path for the development of your communication and media strategy? The program team, led by the president or the CEO or the executive director, as the case may be, program manager, communication specialist, working hand in gloves with the relevant stakeholders and partners. The participation of individuals and groups directly affected by your worthy cause is very important. The active involvement can help increase your organization's program impact and lead to a long-term sustainability. You see, the currency in today's non-for-profit is collaboration and partnership. It's something that you cannot do without. It's a currency you cannot do without. Collaboration and partnership. That's the greatest currency, invaluable currency that we have that you need to use in non-for-profit today. Now, these are some helpful tips for your team that you have put together to develop the communication strategy. Your potential donors will want you to do 4 things. Number 1, give them a compelling justification. Because some people have on their website, donation box, press this, and they want to know why they are donating to you. So give them a compelling reason to drop money inside the donation box in order to support your organization cause. Communicate and market by persuasion. It's marketing. Why they should support you. You cannot force them. When you are marketing, you need to it has to be persuasive. You don't need coercion. If you use coercion, you're just on your own. Provide an easy and accessible way for them to give you money. Build a relationship with them first. For instance, a thank you follow-up with them about the money maybe that they've given you before, so that there must be transparency. Oh, you gave us $10,000 last quarter. This is how we have spent the money, and this is what is remaining. I remember there was a time we were asked to come to National Assembly, and we were all summoned there. I think my organization and one other were the only ones that returned money. Some people said they overspent money that was given to them. They even had to go and borrow. But in my own case, we returned money. Because, I mean, you cannot take what does not belong to you. Maybe some people say, well, that one is just being religious. Or I think it's about value. You don't take what does not belong to you. You need to build a relationship with them. Your team should note that online fundraising still has to be an integral part of the overarching communication and media, as well as fundraising strategy of your organization. So you can't dismiss online fundraising, can't dismiss it together with a wave of the hand. Just because you have added a donate button on your website landing page does not necessarily mean information and communication and technology is running your fundraising. This is nothing but what we call delusion of grandeur in psychiatry or in mental health. Estimated time for, developing communication plan. There is no prescription as such. A few weeks, a few months will suffice, depending on the scope of your strategy and whether you have done formative research, such as formation of ideas, ideation, concept, and etc. Key stakeholders and partners involved, and the methods that you use to engage them will also determine how long the process will take. So there's no real prescription for the number, how long does it take for you to develop your strategy? Now, when do you develop your strategy? If not now, when? When should you develop your communication strategy? Right after the analysis have been concluded. Analysis of the situations, situation analysis, your background. When you know your why, it determines your how, it determines your what, it determines your when, and it determines your how. So right after you have done the analysis of your audience, then you can do your strategy. The strategy should be final before you create any material or activity, or before you implement any program, because you cannot place the cart before the horse. The cart cannot be driving it's supposed to be the other way around. So you have to be very sensitive to that you don't do anything before you've done your strategy. We know that in some non-for-profits, because they are in a hurry, and sometimes you do baseline study, midstream of a project. That's not acceptable, and that should not be condoned. That should not be tolerated in the non-for-profit organization. Now, a school of thought suggests two equally effective strategies as follows. One, now. Remember, we are talking about when do you do it? Now. So a school of thought says you do it now. The other says it could be deployed in anticipation of events that will happen later down the road. Then there's what we call a crisis communication plan, which helps your organization cushion against unexpected turn of events, no matter what happens. Now, why do you need the media? You need the media. You cannot be on your own. The media needs you. You need the media. You need the media because they will help you project to the community your organization story. They will help you project to the community your achievements so that they're able to appreciate your efforts toward the realization of a worthy cause. Like-minded and non-for-profit organization can also hear about you through the media, and they can learn one or two lessons from you. Collaboration and partnership are two extremely indispensable currencies in today's world. Collaboration and partnership are two extremely indispensable currencies in today's world. The media will help you expose to government, ministries, departments, and agencies, and others that can come to your aid and offer you support, technical or monetary. Also, I want to appeal to non-for-profit. We won't mention any names here, but when I was in the private sector, there was a particular company that said, okay, we are ready to give you billboards all over the country. Oh, no, not all over the country, but in some strategic places in the country. And this particular organization, a government parasite, said, no, we want money, give us money. We don't give money. We can give you billboards. You can use our billboards to project your campaign, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. But this particular MDA said, no, it's money that we need. So as I speak to you, that project did not take place. It didn't take place because you need to be flexible. You need to run with what the private sector people, they are not there because of you. Even if they are trying to do anything at all, it's because they are doing what we call corporate social responsibility. So you cannot twist them. So you need to listen to them. You listen to learn and you learn to listen. Listen to them and you learn to listen so that they'll be able to help you, and then you'll be able to work hands and gloves with them. So they can come to your aid if you are flexible. And then you need the media to enable policy or decision makers understand your needs with a view to supporting or assisting your organization. Then it's also the media will be there to enable the community of your community of practice, COP, know what you are doing in their constituency. Social media experts are quick to agree that the quality of followers matter considerably more than the raw quality of followers. This is especially important point in non-for-profit seeking to advocate for their cause, aiming to assist non-profit make effective use of online media. The series finishes, no, sorry, that's where I pick it from. It's designed to help non-for-profit understand how to measure their online media work by not simply looking at the numbers to assess whether the messages have been disseminated via social media or actually helping to achieve communications goal. You know, what we have also observed is that some non-for-profit, when they're talking about communication and media strategy, they give it to interns. They give it to temporary staff, because they feel it's not something that is very important. That's not supposed to be so. You need to put. I mean, you need to grab the bull by the horn by yourself. You need a good established following before your campaign begins. It takes time to build up your community of practice and get to know your supporters. More importantly, turn them into your advocates. Your advocates will be those who already believe in your cause. You know, initially, when we're talking about behavioral change, you start from a situation where you don't know anything, and somebody introduces you to a particular cause, and they say, okay, so you can do it like this, let me try it. When you try it, it's not every time that you want to try it almost immediately, but you want to process it. And then by processing it, you want to try it. When you try it and you feel that it's successful, then you want to sell it to another person. Then you become an advocate. So that's exactly what you are looking for your organization. Let people be your advocate. You want to create more advocates than followers for your organization. Now, you need to identify owners of media channels. Still on, when we were doing HIV/AIDS project, we used to talk about HIV/AIDS, tell the story. We did a sticker, HIV/AIDS, tell the story. Now, we now discover that some in the newspaper house, the sub-editors are the one that are the one approving or endorsing whatever it is that people are doing. So the correspondent, when they bring the news, the news is killed in the newsroom. So we now discovered it. I said, so this is what is happening. Now we now change the content of the sticker to HIV/AIDS, don't kill the story, addressing the sub-editors. And now we needed to even involve the owners of the media. Now we had to organize a workshop for the owners of the media, because when they are the owner of a media house and somebody is putting a headline, you just go, hey, come here. Did I employ you here to come and project so and so? Is that why I've employed you? But if you're able to get them together to your side, that sort of scenario will not happen in the media house, because already they know the reason why that worthy cause is supposed to be supported. So you need the media owners and not only the correspondents or the people who are supposed to be the go-to persons. So for the print, you need the reporter in the news for news. You need the photographer for photographs, feature writer for feature stories, columnists for opinions and analysis. You need the cartoonist, because the cartoonist can also can do you wonders. You need the news editor for news management. You need the editor for editorial management. You need the manager or executive for organization management. And the same thing goes for radio and television. Those are the people you need in the media. And then when you talk about communication plan, we have 3 examples here. This one is communication plan by example. Under the communication, you were trying to look at what's your project status. How do you disseminate the status? By email? How often? On a weekly basis? The essence of this is to review project status and discuss potential issues of delay. Who owns this? Who is going to run this? The program manager. Who is the audience? Project team and project sponsor, or like USAID, for instance. Then team startup. How do you do this team startup? You need a meeting on a daily basis, because you need to discuss what each team member did yesterday, what they will do today, what are the blockers, what are the barriers, Who owns this? The program manager, and then the audience is the project team. Then project review, you need to meet and then to discuss the milestone. The milestones are the markers or signposts through which the course of the project signifies a change or a stage in development. And then you need to present the project deliverables, gather feedback, and discuss the next step. And this is owned by the project manager. And then for communication plan by method, which method are you using? You're looking at project status report, and this is done on a weekly basis. You review your project status and discuss potential issues or delay. This is owned by the PM. The target, not target, the audience here is the project team and the project sponsor. Then you need meetings to talk about project, team startup. And this is supposed to be on a daily basis, discussing what each team member did yesterday, what they will do today, and so on and so forth, just like what we've done before. This is a communication plan by audience. The audience here is the project team. What are you discussing here? Project status report, team startup, task progress, project team review, post-mortem meeting, and so on and so forth. So all of these things are very important. Look at the frequency. For the project status report, you need to do this every week. For team startup, it's every day. Task progress is every day. And then project team review, all the milestones, and which is done in order to look at the to discuss the next step. Then the post-mortem, what the almighty EOP, call it almighty EOP, to assess what worked, what did not work, what are the lessons that have been learned. There's a lesson, even USID is very important in lessons learned workshop, because we want to learn lessons so that by the time somebody else is doing a similar project in the future, they will not be banging their heads on the wall or on the table before they get things done, because somebody else has already done that, and we can only improve on what other people have done. Then you're discussing about the project sponsor. Remember, we're talking about the audience here. The project status report is very important for your project sponsor, like USAID. Weekly, it can be weekly report, quarterly report, annual report, and so on and so forth. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we've come to the end of the discussion. And at this point, we want to conclude. And as we conclude, I want to reiterate that you do not need to spend months before developing a lengthy communication and media strategy for your non-for-profit organization that will only end up gathering dust on your shelves or in the filing cabinet. Experience has shown that the usually long-winded, weighty academic product may look very, very impressive, but they are seldom actually used. It's just for academic exercise. A communication and media strategy ought to be a living document that must be regularly consulted and updated. That's why I said it's not supposed to be left for interns or for temporary staff. The strategy should guide your daily, day-to-day activities and help your organization develop a content calendar. The document sets clear guidelines for how information will be shared, as well as who is responsible for and needs to be looped in on each of your organization's work. In the event that it does not, go back to the drawing board. Remember, we said communication is a process. Communication is a process. It can never end. Try to work on crafting a much simpler, focused, and achievable strategy. You cannot improve your future if you are not willing to try something new and risk making mistakes and learning from them. If you have not made mistakes, you have not started. People like us, they call experts. Nobody is an expert. We have made mistakes. And even today, I must have made some mistakes. But definitely, I cannot be bound by my mistakes. I'm supposed to work on them and then for improvement in the future. Please do not see your media and communication strategy just for public relations or survival, but see it as for your sectoral dominance. How will you use your media and communication strategy to dominate? You have to have dominion over your sector, be it mental health, be it HIV, be it eye ophthalmology or whatever it is, because the future belongs to those who see possibilities before they become obvious. And you have only two options: make progress or you make excuses. And I'm sure there's nobody in this room, in this chat room this morning, that want to make any excuse for not being able to develop their media. So what I've been able to do, what I've been trying to do, is to stimulate you, is to I call it in Nigerian parlance, ginger you. I don't want to say zobo you, but ginger you in order for you to be able to develop your media and communication strategy. So I think at this point, I want to say a very big thank you to the organizers again for the opportunity given me to be here. And this is the time for questions. And we'll be able to do justice as far as practicable. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Mr. Olushino. Thank you, and we have taken some of the points that you have raised, even though you've raised quite a number of points. And one of the things that we know that we should think big in terms of communication. You've given us explanation of what communication is. You've given us what we need to do in terms of communication, especially when you talked about the things that when you started from the cradle, when a child is born, so how people communicate and why communication that is important. For us in organizations, I think we cannot overemphasize the need for communication, and especially not just communicating, but the need for connectivity, so that your message is going to the right persons. And so we take some of these points, and we will not belabor the points. I will ask Mr. Vance again to take the questions. But if you cannot, then I will go ahead and I'll take the questions, please. Mr. Francis, can you take the questions?
The next person here that I can see is Emily Manieru. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Emily, please.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Great presentation. My name is Emily Manjeru. I support Smile Train, the world's largest cleft organization with communications. This has been very, very insightful and a refresher course. I feel my take actually is on the actual media relations. The thorn in the flesh here is you've mentioned about not giving a token to the press whenever they attend our activities and events. And sometimes they have become more notorious and they almost compel you to want to give them. Otherwise, they do what you mentioned as gingering you or blacking out your organization. I feel this is something that needs to be addressed by media, where the media themselves need to become more responsible with the reporters that they send out. The challenge here usually is, even as you give them these incentives of media awards, of presentation of billboards and investing in them, the correspondents are usually highly underpaid, or rather they are not paid well. So that is where they get their bread and butter, by attending as many events as possible and maybe looking at how do you facilitate them to attend your functions. This is something that needs to be addressed as a concerted conversation between organizations and the media, and a show of responsibility needs to be given. Granted that many of our organizations—
Thank you so much. Please.
Yeah. Sorry, one moment. We have to account to our donors. So how do we account to donors for money that is meant for actual work into communications?
All right, noted. Please, Mr. Lulano, you will take the questions in batches and respond to them. Let me call on Joy Abubu to please unmute and ask his question. Joy, please.
Hello, good morning. I want to talk about the issue of reports. Usually when people have issues. They have issues, and then reporters usually don't take so serious note of those particular things. Rather, they try to report on things that will rather incite the public against a victim. For instance, an organization that is in dire need of the public awareness about a particular issue that is concerning the public, and the media don't take serious note of that particular thing. How can one go about that?
All right. Thank you so much. It's noted.
Okay.
Paul Wankwo, please unmute yourself. Go straight to your point.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you to the presenter. Thank you to Christos. My concern in all of this is what the first person asked of, and I think in Nigeria, I suppose the person is talking about their environment, but I know it's the same. We have had opportunity to communicate with media people to help us do a number of things, because we know that the project cannot fly if there is no media attention to it, as the traditional media. But we discovered that they look at not-for-profit as people who have a lot of money, people who should, patronize them and pay a lot of money. I personally think it's not enough for them to just collect, this money, make a report and all that. I think what is important is for the communication to actually go. Since it's a two-way. If we do a project and there's no media component to it, it's like the end beneficiaries are not getting the best out of the project. So I want to ask the presenter, how do we cross this river? How do we get the media to understand that this is a not-for-profit organization? Some of our budgeting does not include, some of this, but they become essential in communicating the outcomes of the project. Thank you very much.
Respond to those questions, please.
All right.
While the others put themselves out.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. I think we have 3 questions here. The last one is from Paul Mwako. Working with the media, sometimes it's a bit Herculean to work with the media. Like our guy there rightly said, this is the time you should begin to budget for communications. Just like you budget for your M&E, you also need to budget for communications, and your sponsor, your USAID, as long as it's part of your budget line item, they cannot say you are wasting the American taxpayers' money, in as much as you have a budget for it. But how do you get them to your side? It cannot be a once and for all thing. You must consistently you must strategically engage with the media consistently, so that, because if you want to get them to your side, it's not a one-day job. Like they used to say that Rome was not built in a day. So relationship building takes time. So the more you engage with them, the less likely it is that you are going to be having issues with them. And then you remember we talked about the need for you to also strategically engage with the media owners. Don't look at the correspondents are just employees. They have this correspondent has he has the sub-editors, he has the editors to contend with. Then the editors, they have the EDs. The EDs have the owner of the media house to contend with. So all of these people, you need to strategically engage with them, either on one-on-one or put them together as a group, and then you disaggregate them according to their levels. On the one hand, you want to bring together the owners of the media house. On the other hand, you want to bring together correspondents. On the one hand, you want to bring together sub-editors. So all of them, by the time they come together in their various organizations, then you are more likely to get their support than when you are just engaging with the correspondents and they have little or no influence as such to influence policy in their organization. Then concerning reports, that some reporters don't take some of the things they do seriously or they tweak it the way they like. That is why you need to engage, maybe on a ad hoc basis. You need a communication consultant or a communication person in your organization that will be responsible for making press release. It is this press release signed by your organization that will go to the media. So if it's signed by organization, then it's nobody can they wouldn't change it because otherwise you can even sue them because you didn't give them that. So you need to have what's called how do I say it now? You need to be proactive. So you need to have a press release based on the event that you invited them to, so that by the time they go back to the press, to their media houses, is the press release that they will submit at the station. And then I think the first one is still talking about media relations from Emily. Account to donor. Yeah, I think it's about the same thing. That the donor will not, you will not because you will not be. There's no indictment here, as long as you have a budget line items for engaging the media. So by the time you are doing your retirement, it's already in the budget. So there's no reason why you should be afraid of, oh, what will the sponsor, or what will USAID, what would they say, or what will your maybe UN or whatever it is, or whoever it is that's sponsoring you, what would they say? So as long as you have a budget, I don't think there's any problem with that. So those are the three questions I think that have been brought to the front that I've tried to engage with. But I think in terms of summary, strategic engagement of the business owner is very important. And then you need to have a budget line item for media. And last but not the least, you need to have press releases by your organization at the end of every activity that you have done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, thank you so much, sir. Just to add a bit that perhaps organizations should start looking at having someone in their organization designated as communication and media officer or something of that nature, someone of that nature who will be in charge of what is to be communicated. And of course, this has to be approved by the leadership of the organization before such is circulated in the media. All right, let's take let's take another round of questions. I will call, please, if you are ready, you go straight to your point and ask your questions because we have limited time. So, who is connected?
Jesse,
okay, please ask your question quickly.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. I just want to ask two questions, sir. We said the media needs us as well as we need the media. But can an organization proofread or censor content before the media publish it? That's cut across the offline and the online channel.
Hello.
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 Yes. Hello.
Yeah. Can I answer my question now?
No, David, please hold on.
John has not finished.
Hold on, David.
Yes.
Hello.
Okay. I don't know if you get me. The first question.
You are asking whether an organization should proofread a document before it goes out to the public.
Yes, that's from the media.
Yeah.
So yes, should the media send their content to the CSOs or the organization for them to actually proofread and censor before they actually publish it? Is it encouraged? And then the second question is, we said during the presentation, you said beyond meeting the gatekeeper, we should meet, organizations should meet the influential gatekeepers of that market. So is it that they should meet on personal ground? Your advice, is it that they should meet on a personal level, or they can collectively bring these influential stakeholders together and actually have the meeting for the community or for the new markets that it's coming to the community?
Okay, all right.
Hello?
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Can I intervene quickly?
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to just ask, first, I want to thank the presenter. He did a very wonderful presentation. But something that I want to share, and this is just based on my experience, I haven't been in this sector for over 25 years. The issue of contest, you know, donors are very concerned about how money is allocated to media work. But if you compare that to our contest here, how journalists really work here, you know that majority of the journalists are not paid. So when they come to do your work, they expect some gratification from your end. But unfortunately, these are not receipted. So if you don't really provide them receipts, you don't provide them something, taking the work forward becomes very difficult. So it's really challenging. It would be very good if the presenter can also, again, using our own context, our own peculiarity, our own cultural context into consideration on how to deal with this peculiar. I see that he also suggested.
All right, I think you have made the point. He will answer to that, please, so that we can give others time to also ask their question. I think your point is noted. How do you make what you spend on journalists to be accountable or accounted for? All right, thank you. Basi Okon, please.
Thank you. Still on this media and the CSOs. Now, just like everybody has raised the challenges. Now, could engagement, something like an advocacy, engagement, media, I think moving forward, I want to advise that there should be a webinar like this of media, so that let us have an understanding. I think there is a lack of understanding, and then the poor remuneration issue about the owners of media houses is responsible for what we are going through with media reporters, because they are not well paid and they are not paid. Most of them are even just freelance journalists most of the times. So I think there should be something like this to also engage with them, to let them know the importance of collaboration, because it's a give and take. Collaboration between the CSOs and the media houses. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ekede, please. All right, maybe you should just go ahead, sir, and respond to these.
All right, okay, sir. Thank you very much again. John, you talked about the issue of, you were trying to make a suggestion as to whether the CSO, the not-for-profit, and the media house can have a joint proofreading of documents. Well, it's either yes or no, because sometimes, you know, our friends, the correspondents, most of the time they have a rush hour. They want to rush back to the office, let's say by 2 before they hit there's a deadline for submission of their whatever it is they want published. So that maybe, you know, remember we were talking about, we talked about some various channels, maybe feature article, but for a news item, maybe not. The news item, that's why they can make use of their maybe initiative, and then if there's any error, then you point it out to them, and you can ask them to withdraw whatever it is that they have published. But if you want something that you can proofread, that may be like a feature articles and all that, then it's not something that can be rushed. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. So there's a possibility of you doing some proofreading. That is, when I say you, I'm talking about the NGO or the not-for-profit and the media person, to do some proofreading before such. But if it's a news item and they want it hot, I'm not sure there's any room for asking them to come and show you what they want to publish, except it's a feature article, maybe it's a whole page, it's a column, or whatever it is that you want to. to do. And then meeting with the influencers, there is no hard and fast rule about it. But in most cases, what I discovered when I was, leading some of these NGOs, you develop personal relationship with them. If you want to make it too officious, then you may not get what you want. So you can have a cocktail of personal relationship and official relationship, but more of personal. So to the extent that sometimes they don't even ask, if you give them nothing, fine. If you give them, fine. If you don't give them, fine. But personal relationships is very important. And then remember what we talk about, audience mapping. There may be a time when you have to meet the media owners together. There may be a time you have to meet with the correspondents alone. There may be a time you need to meet with the correspondents and editors and sub-editors together in order to move forward. But it depends on your intended audience, because they don't have the same behavior. They don't have the same attitude to all of these things. And when you discover that some of them are they're far ahead of others, you make use of those people as your advocate in the media circle, so that they'll be able to help you to be able to achieve your worthy cause. And then I think the next question has to do with peculiarities of spending on the media. When you work with the media, definitely like one of us, I think it's Mr. Francis Ademola said, then there must be, I think Francis was trying to make a suggestion that there should be a working relationship with the media. Me personally, I have one of my sons that worked with a particular media organization for about 6 months. It was not paid. And they were expecting him to be productive. So he had to leave them at the end of the day. He left them because it's very frustrating. You're working in an organization, you are not being paid, and yet you're supposed to bring out the best out of you. It's I think it's something that is not good enough for the media. And then the last one is still on the same thing: poor remuneration of the media
practitioners.
Practitioners. Yeah, I think it's something that at the level of the Association of Media Owners, so that they're supposed to be the mirror, or they are supposed to mirror the society. So they should be able to talk to themselves. That you leave them to themselves to have a peer-to-peer discussion amongst themselves. Maybe you organize a roundtable, maybe a luncheon or a breakfast meeting where they can always discuss what are the challenges in the media house, how is so and so managing the challenges, and so on and so forth. When you hear your colleagues talk, then you'll be able to see, okay, so it can be done this way. By that, then you'll be able to break even in terms of addressing the challenges of, and then collaboration is very important between the CSOs and like I said, it's not a one-day thing. So you have to be persistent, and you have to persevere, because when you're dealing with human behavior, it's not something that you can do in one day. It's something that has to be persistent and then strategic in your approach in order to have a full engagement with the media practitioners.
Thank you so much, sir. Maybe just to add from where you have stopped, that strategic engagement should go beyond calling them only when you want them to come and cover events.
Yeah.
We should try to recognize them as an important stakeholder in our programs, and as such, involve them in very many stages of our activities, planning, sometimes even monitoring, so that when they are very well engaged with us, we don't even need to call them to come and cover that activity that we want to publicize. They know that we want to do this, and they have been with us. They will come, cover it, take what is supposed to be the message that needs to go out there. So that strategic engagement is very, very important. Let's not limit it to only when we want to do some publicity activities that we engage with them. We are going to take the last round of questions.
Francis, let me just add this.
Yes,
it can also be there can be an opportunity to recognize media houses that are very supportive by giving them maybe award at the end of the year. Yeah, you know, that recognition alone is enough. You know, we call them and then you give them flags, you give them certificates or whatever it is. You have a handshake with them in a large gathering, and then they'll be so happy about that they are recognized for whatever support they are given to the non-governmental organizations.
All right, thanks so much. We are going to take the last 3 questions.
I want to commend Shina for the brilliant presentation.
That's why I'll go.
Yes, not your go. I just wanted to remind you that you taught us to communicate action. And in communicating action, I'm thinking of my rural women, Shina. When we are talking about this communication, how do we scale it down to them? Like you rightly pointed out, in some of these proposals or maybe grants and the rest of them, we don't consider those who are going right inside to talk to those who do not hear English, who cannot even appreciate the type of brilliant presentation that you have made now. And also we're talking about inclusiveness. Inclusiveness, I have people who are blind, I have those who cannot talk, I have others physically challenged. How do I come up with a strategy that is all inclusive? My Oga, you are my girl.
Thank you, Ugo Uduma. Adeola Sheweje, please ask to unmute and ask your question. Adeola, please.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the brilliant and wonderful presentation. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, Adeola, yes.
Okay. Yes. My audience, my intended audience, they're not adults, they're children. And communication with children, I want to believe, has to take a different approach. Now, I agree with what a lot of people have said in terms of traditional media and the letdowns and the disappointments. But I need your opinion on this. I communicate in a different way because I work mostly with children. I use Instagram, I use Twitter, I use sometimes I use Facebook, but it is targeted. I don't just throw it out for everybody to see. And another one that I've recently discovered is LinkedIn, because I know that it's more of like a professional setting, you know, thereabouts. I don't know what you think about those non-traditional methods, and especially when communicating about children.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Adeola. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll just take the last 2 questions from Peace Edem and Christiana Ayuba, please. And then we'll round up. Peace Edem, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Standing on the existing protocol, my question is straight. Please, for the presenter, can we have or adopt one particular template for communication strategy for all non-profit, or you streamline it based on what you do? And if the answer is yes or no, can we have a sample template? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Peace Edem. Can we have Christiana Ayuba please ask her question? Christiana Ayuba.
Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. My question is, I want to have more clarification about the topic that he took, identifying the owners and key stakeholders of media channels related to your communication and media strategy. So I just want to have more clarification on that.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Godfrey, go ahead.
All right, my name is Godfrey. Thank you very much, sir, for the session. It was really insightful. Just a quick one, sir. I want to know if there are any laid down steps or laid down structure for developing a communication and media strategy for non-profit organizations. Is there any laid down structure one can follow to develop a robust communication and media strategy? Yeah, for an organization. I want to know that. Sorry, I came in a bit late. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Can you hear me, sir? Mr. Lulano.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me start from the last one by Godfrey. I don't know, maybe you joined us late at a later point during this presentation. I think we actually said that there are some 5 pillars that you have to look at if you want to develop your strategy, your communication, media and communication plan. You need to have a background. Why do you even need it at all? Because it has to be evidence-based. It has to be answerable to some situation analysis. And we said you cannot even start anything without, okay, when do you start it? You start it when you have already analyzed who your audience is. Because who do you want, who is your audience for the media strategy? Or why are you using the media strategy? Is it to enhance your fundraising so that people will be, you need to put your organization in limelight so that people will be able to know that, oh, in this geography in Nigeria, we have so organization that the worthy cause is schistosomiasis or river blindness or guinea worm eradication. Because if you don't have such a strategy addressing the needs of the people in your community of practice, then there'll be a disconnect. So you have to do, it has to be scientific. Scientific in the sense that you have to conduct, that's why we said, how long does it take? It depends on the process. It depends on how many stakeholders you are engaging. Because if you are engaging so many stakeholders, then you have to develop some, you have to do some KABP, knowledge, attitude, and all that. You have to do some formative research, because it's from the formative research, you now put issues emerging from that formative research to be able to guide how do you put together your strategy. Because remember, your strategy is you want a strategy that would draw more people to your organization in order for them to assist you, in order for them to provide resources for you to run some of your programs. So that could be part of the reasons why you have the strategy. So, and we said it, that you have some pillars. You need to have a background, you need to have your audience, you need to map your audience. Who is this strategy for? Is this for policymakers? Is it for, for volunteers? Is it hybrid? Then when you're able to know your audience, what is the best channel by which you can reach your audience? So that one you have to fashion out in your strategy. And then having know the channel, the messages, sorry, what are the messages that you want to pass across and through which channel? And then you need to do an M&E, you need to have, a plan of action. Where does the rubber hit the road? You need to have a plan of action so that you'll be able to put this. So, and we said that if you don't do your work well, if you're just doing something like academic exercise, your strategy document will just end up on the shelves or inside the file cabinet, and you don't want that. So I think initially Godfrey, we actually discussed it. By the time you get your slides, you'll be able to see the various steps that we said that we recommended, even though we said there is no one size fit all. And that takes me to Peace Adam's question. He was asking for a template. The strategy that non-for-profit A we use as a communication or media strategy will be different from what B we use. It all depends on the audience mapping. You probably are not addressing the same audience. possibly you are looking at Adam, you are trying to ask for a template. We cannot give any template now because we said you cannot copy somebody else's, you can't copy somebody else's strategy. You have to develop your own strategy, on the basis of your audience, because there is no one size fit all. So your strategy must be evidence-based. All right. And then for Diola, my sister Diola, my former colleague, you talked about your intended audience are children. The same thing applies to this. Once you're able to discover that this is your audience, then you want to use the appropriate channel appropriate to that particular audience to develop how do you communicate your messages with this. For instance, if you are dealing with children, you probably are not going to be using LinkedIn because LinkedIn is for professionals. But you can make do with Instagram, you can make do with Twitter, Facebook, but everything depends on your audience. So Diola, for your audience, the channels you're going to be using for communication with them cannot be different from what they like, because most of the time these children are on Facebook, they are on Instagram, and you want to go and meet them where they are. Like I said, you take the market to where the business, to where the market is in this case. And for my Chief Ugo, rural women, when we're dealing with rural women, there is what we call developing materials for low literate audience. So most of the things we'll be producing for the rural women will be graphics. You remember in those days when we used to talk about don't do this, you draw the picture of somebody and you put a cross on top of that person. And when you ask people, when you are doing your pre-testing, they say, what can you see? I can see the picture of a woman, they put a plank of a wood on top of that person because you are using a cross on the top of that person. That is not acceptable. So by the time you develop your materials, you have to look at your audience. What is their perception about the materials you are rolling out? But for the rural women, your emphasis will be on low literate. It will not be more, it will be less of text. It will be more of graphics because they can relate more with graphics than the Turenchi or the text that you want to put for elites in the city who can sit down and read maybe inside their car as they have been driven home. But the rural women, they want to see pictures, they want to see graphics that they can relate with, that will not be confusing to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think we've given everybody a fair chance to ask questions. I still see two hands up. I don't know whether these hands...
Hello, Mr. Francis, are you there?
Yes, please. I'm here. Hello, Shola. Hello, Shola. Hello, Shola.
Yeah, hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, I missed the connection is a bit foggy now. What was the question?
No, I don't have a question. I was just saying that I think the time is fast spent and we still have two hands up.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. My name is Adedoyin. Speaking from African Center for Media and Information Literacy. So my questions are two, sir. Talking about strategic and communication plan, I want to know what is the difference between strategic communication plan and the general work plan? Like you as a comms person, you are trying to draw up, or you're drawing up a strategic communication plan, and then you have an overall work plan, which is the one that everybody works on, like the one that takes you to local governments, that takes you to for advocacy. So I want to know what's the difference between the one you're doing, which is a strategic communication plan, and the normal and the general work plan that everybody tends to work on. Then the second question is, who is responsible for the strategic communication plan? Is it the comms officer, or is it the manager or the coordinator, or is it the whole organization, like the whole team? Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
My
Go on,
question
Basi, go
is
on.
very straight because it's a challenge I have here with my initiative. It's a feedback problem.
Yeah.
Is it advisable to run to a media and publicize a speaker you invite into your program or your event? Because most of them seems to shy away from your event because here they said it's my initiative is it's a bad stigma to the state, the Unemployed Graduate Development Initiative. So is it
what do you call the initiative again?
The Unemployed Graduate Development Initiative here in Akwa Ibom State.
Unemployed graduates.
When you organize an event and invite most of these government personnel, they shy away from attending it because they might be penalized by their boss. So I want to know, is it advisable to run to the media with the names of your invited speakers or guests to your event without an approval of them attending your event? Thank you very much.
All right, Basi. Is that all?
Yes, that's all. Thank you.
All right. Let me start with Basi. Basi, you don't want to let me use an expression in Nigerian parlance. You don't want to cobalize your intended your guests. You don't want to put them in trouble.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you're trying to say because your focus is on unemployment.
Yes.
And you are now inviting people from government to come and talk about unemployment. You probably want to get neutral bodies that come and talk about that. That otherwise that person is playing with his job. Because people who live in glass houses do not throw stones. By the time when they leave the government service, then they can say all manner of things. But as long, they say when you are eating, you don't talk. By the time you are eating and you are talking, then you should leave that food. Then it means that you are ready to leave the food. On a serious note, you cannot arm twist them. Then you are going to put them in trouble. When you go to the media and announce that, oh, you invited this and this and that, not for government officials. Let's respect them for that. Let's respect their space. There is a civil service rule that does not even allow some people to talk to media anyhow. They have to take permission, sometimes 3 levels before they can talk to the media. So please don't put them in trouble. If you want people to come to the rescue of your organization, rescue in inverted commas, then look for neutral people. They will be in a better position to help you address your worthy cause than incumbent civil servant who is a civil servant. He cannot do that. Then, Sister Adedoyin, you were talking about strategy and media communication strategy and general work plan. One is a subset of the other. The strategic, communication plan is a subset of your general work plan that you run with. The essence of the strategic, media and communication plan is to isolate what you want to do as far as media and communications are concerned, but it's still part of your overarching work plan of your NGO. I think I don't know whether I'm communicating. That's the difference. One is a subset of the other one. The communication and media strategy is supposed to be a subset of your general work plan of your organization. If it is not there, then it's probably not complete. It's not complete. So there's no clash. But one cannot do without the other one. You can't do without your communication plan, and you cannot run communication plan without the general work plan. I think I've been able to address your issue.
Sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Goodbye and good afternoon. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.